I went to every floor in the building with water room.
Did you really?
I don't even need a tour now.
Tour, I'm good. Get yourself
I
in.
walked in, turned the video on floors. They're like, you're in the wrong place.
I'm glad you made it.
You had to go there.
Yeah.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning. Morning.
The Cuyahoga County Convention Facilities Development Corporation meeting for the date of Friday, January 26, 2024. Let the time be reflected. It'll be 8:37 a.m. Julie, can you please call the roll?
Debbie Berry.
Here.
Jeff Epstein. David Gilbert.
Here.
Majid McLuh.
Here.
Trevor McAleer.
Here.
Michael Obi.
Here.
Tim Ostermatt.
Here.
Rashonda Smith.
Here.
Mayor Sellers.
Here. We have a quorum.
Yes, ma'am.
Before you have we have two sets of meeting minutes to approve. First being from October 20th, 2023. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, I ask for a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion made in a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. One abstention. The record be reflected as one abstention. The second set of meeting minutes from the date of November 8th, 2023. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, I ask for a motion for approval.
Moved.
Motion is made. Is there a second?
Second.
And moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Let the record be reflected that we had all ayes. That motion passes for both of them. We will now, if you have the agenda in front of you. I'm going fast today, y'all. I'm doing let's talk about I want Jeff Halpern to talk about the review of the structure of this organization. I know we have some board seats that will be coming available here now. And it's a good time to review because we got a lot of moving pieces. So Jeff, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. And just very briefly, just wanted to review what happens now with our board elections and just a little bit about our structure. One comment I'm going to make, and it came to my attention that Cuyahoga County actually has a website. Well, I knew that, but what I didn't know.
We have email and everything. It's really going great. Yeah.
The website, within the website, there's actually, if you go drill down into Cuyahoga County's website, there's actually a place where they have information about boards. And there's information, and this board is listed. And of course, we don't maintain that, but within that listing, it actually purports to show the Code of Regulations and the Articles of Incorporation. Unfortunately, those are the Articles of Incorporation and the Code of Regulations that existed at the moment this organization was structured. As you probably remember, that happened very quickly when this was formed for MMPI. It was done very quickly with the understanding that it would be amended. And it was very quickly amended after that. So one thing we want to do is, first of all, I think on our own website, we should be posting some of our key documents structurally, talk about that so people can see it. And then just make sure that the county has the right information so that it's accurately reflected on that website, because that can create some confusion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We never got the county proper information, have we?
So in any event, I just wanted to review that once again, under our Code of Regulations, we have 3 positions coming up in April because we have staggered positions for the board. And just remember, there's 4 classes of directors. We have, and the way this works is directors are nominated by the entity I'm going to indicate. They're nominated, and then the board votes. If the board approves that individual, then whether it's someone who continues on or it's new, that person continues. If the board does not approve, then that same nominating entity is asked for another nomination. And the party that is in their chair stays there until they are replaced or they resign. So that's essentially it. The four classifications are, there's 3 individuals who are nominated by the county executive. There's 3 individuals who are nominated by the board president. There are 2 individuals who are a joint nomination. And then there's 1 individual who is the public seat, which is really GCP Destination Cleveland. And what is coming up now is the 2 of the seats are the joint nomination seats. And then there's 1 seat which is nominated by the board president.
That's the council president. You're saying
Council
board
board,
president, right? County council president.
Council.
That's okay, county
Council
council,
president.
correct. Thank
Every
you.
time I've said board council president, Purnell
Thank
does
you.
that. And so what'll happen here is that I'm sure Mayor Sellers will reach out and talk to them and just remind them about that. And we will get that nomination timely and that's really how that works.
Jeff, I know it's the 2 joint appointments. What's the 3rd seat that's open in?
Council president,
Oh, okay.
council president appoint here,
So the seats that are up now are, joint nomination, include, Rashonda Smith, Jeff Epstein.
Jeff Epstein's the council president.
Yeah, those are the 3 seats that are up. All right, so I just want to make sure that everybody was clear on how it works. And let's for the record be clear. So whether it's a joint or, a joint nomination or individual, group or person nomination, that has been submitted to this board, been reviewed to my knowledge. Not been the longest to my knowledge. I don't think anybody's ever been any
Denied.
recommendations been denied.
Rejected. No.
Right, rejected.
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right.
Yeah, there's been as I might mention, there's been a joint, sharing of information. The county executive, president of council, we've talked about, who would you like to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
on the board?
Yeah.
And so, that's why we have such a strong board now. We have a great board that, because we've shared the information about that.
So we have notified, I'm sure the county and the council president of the positions available. And we are waiting for a response.
Yes.
The people that are currently serving on this board, will continue to serve.
Until,
They serve until they are replaced. So even if you have,
Replaced or quit.
yeah, or quit, but don't quit, the way this works, and that, even if there is if your term is up, you do continue to serve until you're replaced. I guess replaced, quit, or.
I don't like.
Well,
I shouldn't use-
Resign. I just want to make that clear. So the only other thing is, we have put in your packages, the amended and restated, so you have that.
So everybody has this.
So everyone has it.
To that point, let's make sure that I agree with Jeff that we could have our rules and regulations on our own website, so folks can easily find out your front.
A question about that, on, when you say on our own website, would that be on the CCCFDC?
Yes.
Okay, and not on the, yeah,
Yes,
perfect.
exactly.
And we can have a conversation about whether and to what extent other legal information is on that site. But this at a minimum, this really is the key
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
on the site.
And the county, of course, will update our own site. Sorry for that.
To George's point, we have a great board here. You've done phenomenal work. I'll make sure that they recognize it. We all know the amount of time and labor we've all put into. So, any questions about the structure or organization? All right, hearing none, we'll go to the next item on the agenda, the executive director report. I'll turn it over to George Hillo.
short report today. 2 items, well, one of the items was that everybody got a chance to see the food that we had out today. We're so proud of what our chef has done in terms of making our food very unique and very good and all that. And we have a menu tasting the other day where they introduced a new menu and we got to taste it. I get such a kick out of the effort that our people put in to make our place excellent. And, it really is good. Okay, the only other thing we had, we've been hit with, a lot of fraud lately in terms of people, taking our checks that we've sent out and washing them, what they call washing them now. They, erase the stuff on them and then issue new checks and try to, deposit those checks. I think I talked about this once before. We are very careful about that. We have something called positive pay, where the bank sends us a copy of whoever presented a check the day before for cashing. And we compare it to our check register. And if there's anything that's different, we tell the bank, do not pay that check.
Right.
We've had to do that. I mean, we have to do that every day to make sure that, the other day, the county was sending us the rent check for almost $400,000. And they were told, they called, were told they wanted, there was to be deposit to a new bank account. We do not have a new bank account. And so we said, no, do not deposit to a new bank account. We do not have a new bank account. And so we had to stop that. So we've had to put things in place.
Right.
And it's really annoying how much they're doing this to us now. So anyways, that was like, and if that check had been deposited, it would have, I mean, we don't get that money back, it's gone. So anyways, just want to make sure the county has their safeguards in place and that, we have ours in place, so we need to do that. That's pretty much all I have to talk about. I was gonna talk about the candidates, but that's fine. And I do ask the county, and the county has in the past always contacted us to ask us our thoughts on who would serve on the board, because we want to keep our board, like I said, it's an excellent board. We get good input from everybody, they work very hard, and so we want to continue that.
So yeah, the two entities that work well, I guess, like I said, against a very strong board.
Yes.
And the positive pay, George, I think many organizations out here are doing positive pay here because it's not just happening here, it happens.
No.
Just what it is.
Yep.
And I'll just know from the county's perspective, thank you for letting us know right away. So we
Yeah.
reached out to audit and to IT just to follow up on that as well. So appreciate the notification.
Good.
All right, any questions about, for George? All right, thank you. Move to the next item on the agenda. We'll go to the convention center update. I'm gonna turn this over to Ron King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep this brief. I know we have a lot on the agenda today. Before I start, though, I would like, again, another recognition of our wonderful food and beverage partners. Outside of rent, food and beverage is our #1 revenue source. So very important partner for us. Jude, would you do we have a great partner with Starbucks. Starbucks is something that actually Chris is sitting over there, got brought into us here at the convention center. It was a lot of hard work. We're proud today to have the general manager of our Starbucks that's here. We're also proud to have a drink of the month from Starbucks that one of our own baristas designed. So that's for our February drinks month, and Jude, I'll let you take it from there. And oh, by the way, surprise, I called on you.
Thank you, Ron. And I just want to say a few words, as beginning here, we wanted to really make sure that we galvanized our Starbucks. It's an important piece of business for us. We want to make sure it's a nice amenity to the visitors of our city and also our downtown population. This young man here, Darren Colvin, has been our general manager of Starbucks. We knew what we needed, he knew what we needed, but he's taken galvanizing the whole team, and we see the same faces serving our customers on a daily basis, and he's doing it right. I'll let Darian tell you a little bit about what he's done to solidify that store and make it great.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
What's going on?
Morning.
So first of all, we implemented the drink of the month with which is the Dragon Heart drink. It's delicious. It's a spinoff of the actual Dragon drink. Second of all, we've implemented the refresher station to cut down lines in the actual store. People can get what they really want quicker. Anything else?
Your training program, the way that you've upheld the barista certification.
So, yeah, so with that, my leads, I have 4 strong leads. So one is leaving. She went to support in Columbus. She did such a great job that they hired her. So yeah, that's my core, when you have strong leads under you, they can make strong baristas and so forth. So, basically that's it for me. I won't take up all your time.
Thank you.
So I thought I would just do a quick end of the year recap of what we did here at the convention center, remembering that we were under construction. We hosted 100 events, over 322,000 visits, about $16,000 in gross revenue, 7.47 in operating income. Our indirect expenses, 10.76 million. We came in with our deficit at 3.29. This was tight, folks. We have a favorable budget variance of $44,000. There was a lot of sleepless nights, but we were able to get that favorable variance. We did have a big reach, and it was something that kept me and the staff, how should I say this, incentivized to get that reach and to turn that into a positive budget variance. We're very proud about that. Next slide, Julie.
Ron, was there any particular one event or something that was focusing on trying to get over the?
Travis, anything that, or Travis or Steve, anything that was like the big event that we had
That
towards
met
the end of the year?
exceeded
We
expectations.
had a few events that started really performing well.
I mean, I will say, we actually did, December, I mean, we were up against it. We did something called pickleball, in December. We've never had really any type of sporting event in December that really helped move the needle. Case Western did their Weatherhead 100 event here in December. It was phenomenal. So we did a couple things in times that were usually slow, that the team really went out with the help of Destination Cleveland, the Florida Commission, found some holes to fill in, we knew it was an aggressive reach, to get us there. And it, like Ron said, it was a holiday miracle, we'll say. Pickleball really, thank you, David Gilbert, because pickleball, your team putting that in, that's what put us over the top. Without that, I don't think we'd get there.
And just to add on, September, October really came in strong for us. Hosted the return of International Elastomer Conference. The Heart Failure Society of America really performed well. And helped make up the deficit we were chasing going into Q4.
We had, a lot of people say they don't hear anything about the convention center. We actually had 260 news articles written about us throughout the year. Some of the things that I found interesting, Fan Expo, which is our version of Comic-Con, was one of the top ones. You go over to, on the other side, Pickle in the Land, 17 mentions in Pickle in the Land. So that was another one of the top mentions. Metro Health, they did a health conference here for the underserved, and a lot of good press from that as well. Guards Fest, of course, 32 mentions on that. So those are some of the top ones. It tends to be more of the consumer, public types of shows that get those kinds of mentions.
Ron, what about the dental show that we had here?
So
That's
the-
great economically for us.
Yeah, we had, and of course, that would be reported in this year, but we had,
18 mentions, it's under Networks. We put on that, the free dental clinic every November.
yeah. So that's something that we do every November. And something we probably could do a better job of is getting out into the public, some of those community events that are hosted here that really do serve the community and the public. We could do a better job of that, I think.
Quick question, is that news articles? Is that social media posts?
That's
Is
news
that-
articles.
Okay. Because MedWorks, I think, was quite covered on the social media side.
Right,
That was
right.
really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that was a news article. I'm gonna ask, can we do social media posts? Do we
Yeah,
track
do
that?
an Instagram tracking of things, but it's hard to track, because stuff stays and it disappears so quick that if you don't catch it right away and do it,
Okay.
it's gone within, it's social media, it's 24 hours and gone.
Okay.
But we do track now our Instagram profiles, followers, et cetera. We've been tracking it for the year too. For us, that's pretty good.
Economic impact for this year, over 80,000 room nights, over 187,000 individuals for the attendance. Economic impact over $102 million. I'd like to go to the next slide here. So this is the 10-year economic impact, and it's really interesting. And it shows you what some of these mega events that Sports Commission and others bring in, we would have been over, 1 million room nights if not for COVID. You look in 2020, 2021, those COVID numbers were way, of course, we're way down. But that being said, on economic impact, we're still over since I'm a bald guy, I guess I can do this, $1 billion in economic impact. Now, that number is going to be slightly different from what Destination Cleveland reports, because just so people don't get confused, because Destination Cleveland's reporting on those that just they book. In fact, they don't report on even what the Sports Commission books. That's all separate. But here we're reporting on everything that has room nights attached to it. And you all get every quarter or every month, you get a report that shows that. You'll see some of them have an asterisk. That's because there's no reportable room nights to that. Those are some of the local meetings. So try to be as not try to be, we are as honest, we do that very honestly. So that's the economic impact. Next slide, please. Some of the things we're looking forward to this year, 103.
I'm so sorry. I have a quick question on the economic impact. I don't want to take too much time on this, but is it possible you could footnote the key items that you include? Because the economic impact is such a broad term.
Yes.
If you could just in the future, just for our education, the key items that are included in that number, that would be helpful.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
Upcoming major events, 103 events budgeted. Some of the big ones, again, this year we will have some of those big events. American Society of, ASAE. We've been talking about coming in August. Our facility will be ready for that event. So that's a big one for us. But then also for the entire city and for us, Pan American Games, they're going to be in here, I believe, 3 weeks that they take the convention center. So that's a big one for us. NCAA Women's Final Four. I'm going to give it a shot. Society of American Gastrointestinal Endoscopic Surgeons Annual Conference. How did I do? SAGES. Again, a really great group for the city because it's a medical group and they tend to spend more within the city. And then Trimble, which is a software company. So those are really the big ones. But the biggest thing we're looking forward to, ta-da, next slide, is the completion of our expansion. So just a couple of shots there of our rooftop terrace, our atrium ballroom that's being expanded. Really exciting, and I won't take too much time on this because the report's upcoming. Really exciting progress has been made. There's the steel's up for the expanded ballroom, the deck's down, so you can actually see some things going in. I was on the elevator the other day when bathroom partitions were going in. Sounds like a small thing, but man, when you're putting in bathroom partitions and finishes, you're making progress. Just a couple of slides there of the suites that we've talked about that is unique for convention centers to have, and we're very excited about that. And Mr. Chairman, that ends my report. I look forward to any questions.
Should we go back to a couple slides? So they, 114, so it won't. $81,000 where it shows that.
There you go.
That right there. Dave. NCAA Women's Final Four.
Crazy big.
County's about to get paid. This thing, Iowa, South Carolina.
Yeah.
You got the hottest ticket in town.
Yeah, it's amazing. This will just give you one
Maryland.
little example. We could stop there.
I'm hopeful.
We were awarded that event 5 years ago, and we spent about a year bidding on it and pursuing it against other cities. And this is just one small. We have a lot of obligations that our organization. We had to raise about $2.5 million to pay for what the community has to provide. And this just gives you one example. When we were awarded that event, one of the things we had to do was pay for food for the national media. But in the contract, they, at the time, every year, this event was having about 250 national media came to the event. It's gonna be well over 1,000.
Wow.
We are the beneficiaries of women's basketball, particularly NCAA women's basketball blowing up. And it's the number of additional events that are being added. It's almost weekly that we're hearing about other groups that are holding meetings around town and flying in dignitaries.
Right.
Because what this has become is not just the women's college basketball championship. It's transformed to be the biggest, really the center of women's sports every year in America. So it's amazing because the impact that we expected, it's going to be considerably higher because of the way the sport has been elevated.
So there will not be a room
Oh, no,
from here to the suburbs.
no, nope.
Because if Iowa travels, 10,000 by themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just not downtown, it's done. I mean, if you're out here where I am.
And at a very high rate.
At a very high rate. Yes, it will.
Yeah.
I was at South Carolina last year.
No doubt.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so every restaurant, I mean, you better make reservations. That's how,
Yeah,
and they're here for days.
yeah,
Days. They don't come in the day of,
yeah,
day. So
And
this will
there's
be-
one hell of a confluence of events.
yeah,
Like that.
yeah. The day after with the eclipse. Well, and I would say this Pan Am Masters games, it's not a household name.
So between Final Four, ASAE,
Yep.
this is gonna be a big year.
Yeah,
for us.
and that Pan Am Masters is gonna have somewhere probably upwards of 20,000 people from all over the world. And they're here on average for 8 days.
Right.
So there's some big numbers this year.
Dave, can you comment on the ASAE, what impact that has on us?
So what it is, it's the largest gathering of meeting, planning, decision makers in the country. It's American Society of Association Executives. So it'll have 5,500, 6,000 people, but the majority of those people make decisions on where future meetings and conventions are held. So, every year, wherever this is held, groups like Destination Cleveland will go with the convention center and the Hilton and others. You'll see cities from all over the country have booths there selling to those 5,500, 6,000 people. But the stat that they provide is the cities that host will see on average in the 5 years following an increase of anywhere from $200 to $500 million in future business booked as a result, because many of these people will never have seen Cleveland. And they're now going to see the expansion of the convention center and we're, if this gives you any indication, our organization is spending over $2 million in cash.
Okay.
And we're raising a whole bunch of others, and groups like the convention are pitching in because we have to show these people an incredible experience when they're here. But it's we beat out Philadelphia, a lot of other big cities to get this. And it's gonna pay off in spades in years to come.
Dave, can you also comment, we do a poll before people get to Cleveland, what 1 to 10 of how they feel about Cleveland, and then after they've been here, can you comment on that?
Yeah, there's a lot of research. The bottom line is getting people here who've never been here drastically changes their perception of Cleveland. And I think it's something we all know intuitively, but we've measured it. And that's why getting these people here, we can go out and be at trade shows and sell, and that's great. But getting them here and seeing it for themselves is what really changes their minds and gets them to book here. I would want to say one other thing, if it's all right, just while we're talking about it, and I promise this wasn't anything Ron or his team asked me to say. But that we get comments from, you look at all those groups, our job is to service them with everything they do in the community. And we survey after every group that's here. The comments that we get consistently about the team at this building is phenomenal. And it's not it's way above what other cities would normally experience. And I mean, I'll just, it's also about an amazing, level of partnership. Cause there are times, it doesn't happen often, but there are times when, like Pan Am Masters, Sports Commission, is a small organization, we have to raise a lot of money and put on, it's a big undertaking to get here. The first time that event has ever been in the US. So like the World Masters Olympics. And we had to go to the convention and say, hey, these people spend a lot of money here, but can you give us a little break here, here, and here? And those are times when, I mean, look, that doesn't happen often. Most time everybody pays retail and it's what helps pay all the money. But it's an incredible partnership when we go after events in terms of everybody putting on the table sometimes what they need to do to get something here to make money for the community. And we are very lucky to have this entire team here because they are really good. We shouldn't take it for granted.
I might say too.
Thanks, team, by the way.
Our team under Ron is what they've done here. Our people feel they're ambassadors for Cleveland. And they love talking about Cleveland. They love it when guests come up and ask questions about Cleveland. They can talk about the city. And that's a wonderful thing to have. They don't feel themselves as whatever they're doing, serving or cleaning up, they view themselves as ambassadors. So we have a great group here.
All right, Ron, thank you.
Thank
You got
Thank you, Mayor.
anything additional?
Again, I've been here for 6 years now. It's been, I don't have any intention to leaving, but it's been a great ride. And a lot of that's because of the team that's here. Cleveland, I'd never been to Cleveland before I came to interview, and I fell in love with Cleveland, and the biggest part of that's the people in it. And I'm glad that we can take that feel and push that out to guests and visitors that come to Cleveland for the first time. That's all I would say.
All right, any questions for Ron? Team? All right, we'll move to the next item on the agenda. Thank you. Project update, Ellis Katz.
Good morning.
Turner.
Morning. So we're here to give you a project update. It's been a little while since we last met with you, and I appreciate Ron telling you a little bit about what's going on out there. I encourage you, if you can, to go on a tour today, because after the meeting, because there's been a lot of progress. You can actually start to visualize the size of this ballroom expansion and what it's going to do and for your selling. So if you have the time, I think it would be great if you can go on a tour. I'm going to let Turner give you their update, and then I'll follow up with budget update.
We're gonna talk, Ed Pepperoni again with Turner. We're gonna talk a little bit about schedule, manpower and safety, how we're doing on our diversity and business spend on the project. And we'll walk through some photos so you can see what the progress is. If you can't get a chance to step out, go to the next slide. What it is really exciting as Ron and Ellis both stated, getting that new structure up is a key milestone of this project. Getting the bracing done on the exterior wall, pulling those 4 columns out. That is key to getting this job done. Now we've created our own shelter, our own 10,000 square feet of shelter. Now we've created more workspace to get more trades into the project. So it is a really big milestone. And we're gonna have some exciting times coming in the next month or so. In the middle of February, we're looking at getting the grand stair, the monumental stair in the atrium, that's gonna arrive. We're looking at getting air walls, the folding partitions are gonna be coming for the interior of the project. And it's just, you're gonna see a lot of activity as we shift from more of a exterior type labor force to more of an interior labor force, which is really gonna help the job move forward. Next slide. Terry's gonna talk to you a little bit about a little more granular activities of what's happening now and some of the other areas we're gonna approach in the next couple of days.
Yeah, just hearing you guys talk, it's exciting. We're finally getting to the point, like Ron was saying, we're seeing things go in instead of things coming out, right? So since the last time we met, we did finish the west facade precast of the building, so we had taken off the whole side of the building. It's back on. We finished installing our foundations and our ballroom expansion. We finished erecting the steel. All of that I talked about with you guys. It was going to be kind of a battle through the weather. And I got to give kudos to the guys who were out there. There were some really cold, windy days. Those guys were out there welding in snow. So they did a really nice job of pushing this thing through. So the steel's up again. Great thing to see. Ron actually brought up, we finished the floor, the bathroom tile. I'm sorry, we expanded the bathrooms are larger now on the second, third floor. Those bathrooms are built, the tiles on the walls The toilets are installed. We're putting in the toilet partitions now, so we're really building things back. It's really getting neat. Just recently, we finished the renovation to one of the service elevators. We added a backside exit off of that elevator, so that's complete, inspected, done. We're also now installing the glass railings that kind of go on the escalators. So we installed the escalators since the last time we met. I'll show you some pretty neat pictures here at the end of that. And then some of the look ahead activities that everybody kind of brought up. We're backfilling our foundation walls right now, so we're basically prepping to pour the slab on grade of the expanded ballroom. We have a slab on metal deck that we'll be doing. To get there, we've got to finish detailing some steel. We got tent anchors we got to get in that we added to the project. There'll be steel going on for the operable partitions that Ed was talking about out there. And then like Ed said, beginning that monumental stair. So that'll be another neat thing to see come into the atrium and change the look of the atrium. And then obviously we're continuing interior finishes. So if you do get a chance to walk around, second and third floor, we're at the point now where ceilings are going in. We're starting to see light fixtures get set in the grid. You really start to get a little bit better of a feel of really how we're expanding this place to make it more usable and sellable for you guys.
Go ahead. Sure. Hey, we've had about 224 workers that have performed work on the project, so we've got a lot of good activity. About 66,000 man hours on the project so far. We've had one injury, but it was a minor injury. It didn't cause any type of lost time. So we're proud on that front on this challenging renovation project. That we also have a very safe project that everybody's going home the way they came. Important. Excellent. So we're about 50%. We're about at the second period of this game, and here's where we're standing now with as far as diversity and contracting. We have two more contracts to buy for cleaning of the building. So basically, the job's totally bought out. Our contracting participation, what we're doing with minority business and female businesses, we're beating those goals pretty handily. So we're going to beat those, and we have two more packages, and we can pile on more into that today, to that goal. Under workforce, these are the numbers as of the end of December last year. So this is 2023. We took a look at these numbers at the end of the month, and we're not happy with where we are. We're good with where we are in the county and the city, but we need more help on the minority and the female workforce. So we called meetings with all the major subcontractors and the owners. And since then, we've bolstered up that number. If you walked the site yesterday, you just saw 27% minority, and you saw 8% female. So we're having those meetings, continually trying to bolster those numbers. We're halfway, we're second period of the game, but we're gonna beat the game. We're working closely with Dave Wondolowski and the building trades to push it from both sides. So we're going to make our goal. We're short now, but we're making it.
Have you guys found that the workforce participation goals have been harder to meet as time has been passing, given all the competitive projects going on in the area?
There are a lot of competitive projects, and our project's unique. It's not as big as the big high rises downtown or all the big work to do at the clinic. Our job is smaller. It means smaller crews. So yeah, it is. It's a fight. It's a fight to get workers. We're fighting daily, but that's where we're bringing in Dave from the underside to help push, and us not beating on, but helping our partners get to where they need to be. We're going to get there, but it is a very challenging market. There's words about people paying more than scale.
Yeah, and let me just make one, just to remind people, we have a project labor agreement on this project. Project labor agreement has provisions in it, where union labor assists with this, and we've had a very active ongoing conversation with Dave Wondolowski, so that, the unions, it's the trade contractors, the subcontractors, the unions, and our leadership group. So it's been a very active conversation. Active conversations last week. So it's ongoing.
Yep, we are pushing. We will get.
I have a question, and I think I asked this way back when, but for the goal for minority and also female workforce, was that goal a conservative goal or was it more of a stretch goal?
I think it's a management goal. It's pretty much what the industry, pretty close to what the industry's looking for across the board. It's not a stretch, but we're going to get to it. And you asked last in our last board meeting, what are we doing to try to feed the unions to try to help that? If you went to our Neurological Institute project we're doing with the Cleveland Clinic, the job office for that job, just the relationship, the size is probably 3 times the size of this room just for construction workers. We're working with Cleveland Bills, and they come in at night, and Cleveland Bills is an organization that takes kids from the neighborhoods, people from the neighborhoods, and tries to engage them into what trade would you like to get into in construction. So it's kind of a learning experience to see where they might want to go in the trades. And then it's a pre-apprentice training program that after a month they graduate. Cleveland Build is gonna graduate 300 type pre-apprentices to help feed that machine. If you go out tomorrow to our neurological site, you'll see their final class on Saturday. So our job, and again, we have smaller crews, so it's more challenging, but we plan on funneling some of those in there just because it's the right thing to do. The kids went through all that, start them up in their career. So it's one thing we're doing to kind of try to push it, get more kids in construction.
I think the other thing you should point out is every project. So a project like this, you have projects where you may have they're not this type of a project. You may have a lot more labor involved. You may have a lot more of certain trades involved where there's more availability or participation in the community. This project has a lot of specialty things that are going on that, create more of a challenge because it's not historically where a lot of minority trades may work. So the challenge here is to create new relationships, bring minority trades and workers in to do things they maybe haven't done before. And on a project like this, it's a good challenge because it creates new opportunities, but it's more of a challenge in terms of getting numbers than maybe some other projects you've seen.
It is, and there's a lot of special, we talked last time about welding, certified welding on the outside of the buildings, make sure the building, when we take the columns out, those fall down, right? Certified welders
Important.
beyond there, which is now no opportunity. You have a lot of specialty items in this facility, like the escalators, even the air walls, you need to be certified to install the air walls. We're ahead of that. We can't get anybody certified to help with the installation of the air walls, but we can help get labor in there to handle it, get it in place. But when you get a specialty type of material like that, there are a lot of items where you just have to be certified to install it, or the supplier won't warrant. So, but we're aware of that and we're pushing it. Right now, we're doing much better than we should be on a day-to-day basis, but we gotta keep pushing it and get it above where it needs to be. And we'll do that. Second period.
These are just some of the photos that I wanted to share with you guys. The biggest one being setting those escalators. We actually brought a crane inside the atrium there. This is a really neat thing. We had to get structural engineers involved. Right where the support pads are for that crane are actually right on a wall. If you move toward the steps, you're actually a slab on metal deck, and you don't want to have the crane there because it would go down into the basement. So this is actually a exciting, nerve-wracking, but really neat thing that happened on the project. So we were able to get all the escalators set. As you can see, pretty neat thing. And then again, next month, you guys will see we'll be doing a similar thing when we set the new monumental stairs. We talked about the bathroom. So again, it's nice seeing finished products. You're seeing, finished wall tile, finished floor tile. And then just wanted to get a shot in there. The guys erecting the building out there. All the steel's up now. They're doing a lot of the final detailing of the steel. We're actually backfilling the foundations while they're detailing the steel. And again, like the guys said, if you get a chance, go out there and take a look. You can really kind of get a feel now, really how big the space really is now. We still have a temporary wall that divides it, but when you stand out at that door, you really see how much more we expanded that ballroom. It's a neat thing to see. It's exciting.
Before you go to the next slide, 'cause he's not.
When is it supposed to be enclosed? When do you think?
And close the building?
Yeah.
Election.
What's that? But we're gonna tarp it to be able to work within it. The exterior wall of itself is gonna be done middle of April.
Okay.
Middle of April, not the trim pieces, the metal, but the enclosed,
Right.
climate controlled by the middle of April.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to point out, if you go back to that one slide. They're not saying, but I remember listening to the superintendent, see how close this boom crane is to the ceiling. So they had to lift up this escalator, get it in there without hitting the ceiling and fit it in there. It was truly a jigsaw puzzle for them to get this working installed.
They had to reset that about 3 or 4 times, how you angle the rigging to get it in just the right spot.
And I've seen a lot of, I didn't know that in construction in my career. And just us being the builder of it, knowing that this wall, this slab on grade versus on deck over here, just knowing that and us planning for it. That's the kind of thing when you're in the fever of getting something done, maybe it gets missed. You find a crane in your basement, but our people knowing exactly how it built it, made it it was very visible to us. So it wasn't something to be overlooked.
Big hurdle. Glad to be past it.
All right.
Monumental stairs will be next.
Will you need cranes for monumental stairs or no?
Well,
They're gonna look like 4 pieces, I think,
3 or 4?
Yeah.
You gonna go over the budget here?
Yeah, so these are the same slides I showed last time, they're just updated. So our GMP amendment value was 37 million. The DB costs for the contract, which include the architect of record, were 2.1 million. To date, we've approved 3.8 million in change orders, and if you note the asterisks, I'll explain that in just a second. On the owner's costs, we had a budget of 7.6 million. We've spent 3.1 million. The difference in paying off the change orders through contingency is that the $653,000 at the bottom here, that was for that builder's risk claim due to damages. So what we did there was we wrote a change order to Turner, and then the insurance company paid the CCCFDC for the money, which they then wrote a check to Turner to pay for that money. So that's why we didn't use our contingency to pay for that bill.
Yeah, I wanna make a general comment, because you're gonna start to see this now. On the project, there's a project budget of $49 million. There's a set amount of money that the county and CCCFDC put in. There's a set amount of money that we got, bond proceeds. That 49, that never changes. That budget never changes. And we have to work within that budget. Now, there are some things that will occur here, where we're going to have some opportunities, some things we have to do and that we want to do. And we're going to have some funding sources that, are extraneous to this. One example, obviously, not intended, we had an issue. We got the insurance money, it's 1-to-1. So the insurance money is below the line. It doesn't change the 49 million, but Turner's obviously getting paid that. So the GMP will go up. The 49 million stays the same, but there's a funding source that balances it. There's going to be 2 other things that happen on this project where you're going to see the same kind of thing occur. There's a couple things that we are adding to the project that Ellis will tell you about, where our partners are funding it because it helps their operations. Levy would be one, well, you can talk about them, yeah. But our partners will actually fund, there's some bars, they're gonna fund it. Turner's gonna get paid for it, but once again, it'll be below the line because it's not part of the, the county CCFDC funding source. The other one, which we always have known about, and we've been fortunate about this. This happens on every project, which is when the money goes into the bank, in past years, it hasn't generated very much money. We haven't had interest rates, but this was a situation where we had good interest rates. So that money actually earns money. That's in the account. That has to be used for it, but that you will see below the line. And that will continue to be used, frankly, to buy the ad alternates and actually even fund capital repairs that we can now advance into this project to actually lower the burden on us and the county for future capital repairs. That'll all be below the line. That's simply interest earnings from what is in the pot, but it's no new contribution. And that will be the second area below the line. So there'll be more money. There'll be more work for Turner, but the 49 million will not change because these are funding sources that do not involve any new money from the county or the bonds.
Right, and if you go to the next slide, it starts to explain that a little bit, and it's actually been a great thing because it's allowing us to implement things that would normally be capital improvements in your yearly budgets to have to spend, and we're going to use this money now while the building's open, it's under construction, it's in the most efficient time to do things like upgrade existing ballasted light fixtures to LED. We're spending a lot of money with this capital to do that, which frees up money for us to do ad alternates we've been hoping to do, like what Ron was talking about with the suites. So we just approved a change order to start implementing these specialty suites, which is going to be super unique in the construction, and you can maybe explain it a little bit more, but into the convention center business to create these hospitality type suites. So now we have that money to actually implement that, get it built in time for ASAE. So in terms of, we always try to track contingency by the contractor and by ourselves. The contractor had 1.6 million to date. You've used your construction contingency, which you're allowed by contract, of 1.1 million, which leaves a balance of 553,000. Now, once they get enclosed, we have an opportunity by contract to reduce their contingency and claim some of that money if we can. It's right now, it's theirs to spend if they have issues that come up. On our side, we had 2.3 million in hard cost contingency, construction type cost contingency, and an additional $1.6 million in owner contingency, which would be for soft costs or anything else you want that comes up on the job. To date, we've spent $3.4 million of that money, which leaves us $482,000. That does not account for the interest that we're gonna can't be able to use, so that's gonna bolster that available balance.
And I want to remind people, because keep in mind, we knew we were going to spend this. We had a list of ad alternates. When we started the project, we said, these are the things we want to put in the project, but we're only going to put them in if we can stay within budget, because we didn't know, what might happen. So as we go through the project and we get through risk points, we say, okay, this is the point in time where we can reduce and use contingency, and we had we know statistically where you can do that. So so these expenditures are anticipated.
Okay, next slide. We want to be totally transparent on the change orders we've approved since the last board meeting. This is just a list of them. I'm not going to go through the list. We meet bi-weekly with the CCCFDC Executive Committee, and we go through all those change orders in detail with them, so they're aware of the change orders that we've approved.
And once again, it's not, because of a past board meeting, we said we would have that process and improve it. So what happens is we meet bi-weekly, we go through the change orders, we make sure that the committee is approving of these. So they're reviewed, because obviously we're not going to sit here. First of all, we can't wait from board meeting to board meeting to do this. So everything you see on here is something that has been reviewed in that committee and approved.
But you can see like here, this good spend here, this 332,000, that was to improve the light fixtures in the atrium, which is a perfect time to do it with the ceiling open.
And let me just add, no one's asked this question, but let me add why that's so critical is because they no longer make parts for those light fixtures. So we were gonna have to change them at a higher expense further down the line anyway. So this is back to what Ellis was saying about using capital.
And that, remember, this was a story where we said when the thing was first built, it was right before LED.
Yeah.
So, and we knew we were gonna do this anyway. Now, we're still gonna have to do this for the rest of the convention center, but because Turner is there, we can get this done now in that part of the building.
All right, any other questions for Ellis and gentlemen from
What's
Turner?
our projected interest amount?
I have to be careful here. So, well, let me tell you why, because we're not allowed to use it all. So what happens is there's a limitation, the IRS, there's a limitation to how much we can use. He's gonna watch me and see if I get this right. So what happens is there's a tax. So we have to be calculating basically what has to be repaid on this. So the way this is going to work, and that is being looked at by the county right now, because money has to come out to pay the future tax because we're collecting more than we're permitted to use.
Right.
Right now, we believe conservatively, after the tax is paid and after money is moved over, that we'll have at least $1 million
After the tax.
after the tax. It may be more, but, keep in mind, just think about, what would, we've had about $40–50 million. Now we're paying that down.
Right.
But at a 5% interest rate, but then for half the job, because you're paying it down, but then you have to pay tax on it.
And I believe
About $1 million.
that interest has to be used on the project,
Yes.
right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
Bob, do you agree with that number?
Bob, you better agree with that.
He's sitting there smiling and I'm like, does he want to add anything?
I had to negotiate the number with Bob.
Okay.
All right, any other
Sorry.
questions? Ellis?
No, we've had this discussion before, and I just want to be clear for everybody. We use the term change orders because to Turner, that's how the contract works. But again, it's not that we're hitting unanticipated crises left and right, and these are things that, as Jeff explained, a lot of them are ad alternates from the very beginning. We're just, you know,
Thank you, Brian. All right, we'll move on to the next portion of the agenda.
Can I just ask a question on the additions that we're doing, which is great? Is there anything on the list that we're not gonna be able to add that should be at a discussion point?
That we're not gonna be able to have?
Yeah, just because of I know there, right, we took some things out when the final dollar amount was set by the county back in.
Ron, this is not your time to beg for something, in front of this.
I'm not going to, Jim. I would say this, operationally, no. What we did is in some cases, there was a look at what some of the finishes were and maybe maybe the finishes aren't the super premium. Still operationally, still very good. No one's gonna know any difference really. Some of those types of things, but we are with the work that Turner's done and Ellis has done, and quite frankly, Mike Campo has done. We are getting everything back into that project that we really need. When this body decided to move forward with this project and approach Destination Cleveland in the county, we wanted the next level meeting space, and we're getting that now.
Correct.
It's big.
Yeah,
How did I do, Jeff?
You're fine.
Just to remind everybody, when we went to GMP, the plan was not to do any work on the floor. We since have done work on the floor. We've improved communication technology on the floor. We've done a lot of things that we are gonna help that floor to be sellable. There's new carpet on there because of the courts are using it, but we did have some money allocated for carpet that we might not be able to get.
Yeah, I mean, the lighting upgrade was not part of this project.
Right,
That was
right, that's
later
big.
on. So I actually would say that we're doing everything and a little more.
Where we at with that tent?
I'm gonna defer to Mr. Campbell right behind you, sir.
So we're getting ready to put the 10 acres in, as Turner mentioned. We have to make sure that we have the money, Mayor. So that tent's gonna come in right around $100,000.
Explain to people, you built this nice addition, nice outdoor space for events. There's a tent that is probably required because it may rain here or something may go wrong here, right? So I think you anticipated a tent at some point, right, Mike?
Yes.
So we put the anchors in the ground,
Infrastructure.
and now, depending on how this job comes out,
Please, Jeff.
may allow us the ability to go out and purchase
Correct.
this tent.
Correct.
I'm sorry, so the anchors are part of what is absolutely going in already. The
Yes.
tent is a question of whether that gets
Correct.
bought.
Correct.
There's another, that reminds me, and I
It comes
just,
out to the wire here.
Yeah.
Kind of bigger as it goes, so.
and I just asked Trevor, because I want to make sure that this is okay to talk about. So there's another kind of exciting potential here. And this is the Superman statue. And Ellis, are you still here?
Yeah.
Why don't-
Won't leave.
We have a decision right now to make. Why don't you simply describe the foundation and kind of where we are with that? This is not funded by CCCFDC, so a decision has to be made. And frankly, the county knows this, but why don't you just describe
So let's
the go, no go
let's
decision?
keep brief, because I know some people have to keep going here. We got a couple of other items here that need to be discussed here.
Trevor asked me to.
I'm just saying.
Real quickly, there's an artist in town, his name is David Deming, he's a very talented artist. He's been working with the family of Siegel and Schuster, the founders and creators of Superman here in Cleveland. And they have 3 statues, one of Superman flying off of this beautiful pylon that he designed, or he's flying. Another one where there's a phone booth where he's changed his clothes. And then another one where Siegel, Schuster, and Lois Lane looking up at Superman, 3 statues. He's in the process of getting those ready to go into fabrication. They've been searching for a site, and they came to this body, to George, I think, and they asked them to consider our corner at the corner of Ontario and St. Clair. And it actually fits really perfect there. You'll be able to see Superman from Public Square. it's gonna be a real tourist attraction, I think. And so it's been designed, CCCFDC did fund some design work and we've done some renderings. They're about to go and do fundraising and get approval from DC Comics. Our challenge right now is we need money to build the foundations for the Superman, so we can complete the work in that southwest corner for ASAE. We don't want that to be a construction site. So yesterday, I sent a note to all the parties that were involved, telling them, where's your funding? Now you gotta come up with your funding. And so that's where we're at.
And just to be quick, we have to do that corner. So either we go forward with the way we have it now, or we implement this. It's about $174,000. So if we can find that money, we can build into the project now. If not, we're gonna have to complete the project as is, and that's gonna have to be taken out, and it'll be more of an expense.
Yeah, good.
Just want to make sure that any of these potential statute plans have gone through city planning or have had discussions with city planning before we go and put a foundation.
Yeah, we've been talking to both the county Arts Commission group and the city of Cleveland, Joyce and Sheriff.
Yeah, we're all square on that.
And how big is, cause I mean, I've heard a little bit about it. This is not like, just, an 8-foot statue. This
No, he's
is-
about 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a post.
All right, any other questions? Good stuff, guys. All right, let's go to the signage.
Sure, so,
Hold on,
not,
hold on.
yes, sir.
All right, so I want to just set this up. So the signage here is, as you know, Huntington was already on the building from before we had the Global Center. So the Global Center, I mean, now that we're constituting its usage and what it's done, there's an opportunity for signage here on this building. I know there had been some preliminary discussions that were put in motion from, past board president and the county had some discussions about it. But I want to make sure we put this out here now. So Jeff, I want you to bring us up to speed about signage, and because it's important.
Mayor, can I do just a little history before Jeff?
Please.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so, our convention center is built underground, and when we survey people that come to the convention center and we survey our meeting planners, and when Destination Cleveland has done the same, one thing comes back, which is no one knows where the convention center is. With the advent of the expansion of the convention center, we now have an opportunity to put signage on the facility that allows people to know what this facility is, and more importantly, where it is for people out of town looking for it. Typically, if you drop a pin for where the convention center is, you'll end up on the malls. And the reality is the entrance that is off of St. Clair is our front door. More people come through that entrance than any other entrance. So this started from that discussion. Other discussions have ensued. And I would say that Huntington has gotten a proposal that is now ready to be considered.
So just,
I don't want to get ahead of anything, right? Because I want to be clear that this group understands. So there's signage that you're talking about, a location, wayfinding signs, got it. That's not, I don't think an issue here. I think we all understand that. The signage I'm talking about is on the Global Center building itself, which is really the naming rights to that we have no jurisdiction over. I want to make sure that, and we've been having some discussions, and I'm not sure that every entity that should be involved has been at the table, right? And I think it had made its way down a pathway that was going to end up, Jeff, before Cleveland Planning Commission, and I'm not sure the left hand really knew that was happening. So my point, adding this portion to the agenda, so the left hand knows what the right hand is doing, because the entities that should be at the table weren't there, that I believe. So
just to go through this, and this is I think this is a change of administration issue. The last administration, the direction where we're going, started with the last administration. What people have to understand, though, is that the naming right, the right to name the building is the county's. So the conversation and the agreement that has to be modified is actually the agreement between the county and Huntington. So the critical step, and we've had some conversations about this to get this, the critical step right now, the county has to engage, not just engage, the county is the party. We have to engage with the county. You always have the question of there was the direction from the prior administration. Well, this county administration has to, and they're doing their own research right now as to where that was. We've gone through that, but the final steps, if this is going to occur, has to be the county, CCCFDC, making sure everything is, that there's understanding. Huntington, part of that, if it's gonna go forward, there is a proposal, that's partially done, that has to be completed. And then the real question is, if we're going to do this and put signage up on that building, can you get that done, and do you do it, for example, in time for the opening, or do you wait so you don't interfere with things and do it after? Those are some of the critical issues right now. And I've had some conversations with Debbie and others, and that's something that we have to, and we know that we're getting into very quickly to make sure this is done properly.
So where are we going? What are the steps?
Well, I think at this point in time,
That's been pulled off Cleveland Planning Commission, is that correct?
It has, correct,
So
yes.
that's been pulled back.
Mhm.
Right? So
And it's a
what-
landmarks
so
commission,
what-
but yes.
So what are the steps?
So we've reached out to Huntington and are in conversations with them. And again, I think we just need to understand what the full package is. And then, as Jeff said, the legal agreement is between the county and Huntington. And so we need to look at that document and, figure out where we're gonna go before I think we get any approvals on the absolute signage and the details and where they go. So design has been started, it's well along, but we want to have those conversations
So I
directly with
would
Huntington.
say this, because we're not a party to those discussions, but I will tell you that, if you want to put a sign up on that building, there's some things that have to be put in place during construction for that to occur. Our construction going forward, so I don't know if you got a lot of time. How much leeway time you think you got, Ellis?
I don't know how long it would take to install the signs. They don't have to be done by charter. In fact,
No, I'm talking about to make it
they have to be done by June 28th.
pre-ready, even if you to come back later and add it, things that need to be put up there so that a sign can be attached.
How long does it take to
Electrical
fabricate
lighting,
this
things
stuff?
of that nature, things,
I think it's.
structural stuff, tell me, give us an idea.
It's all above the 4th floor, so I don't think it impacts anybody really.
We don't need to do anything during construction to prep for a sign?
No.
Okay.
The only issue is that if signage was to be put up during this construction phase, it's while Turner's on the building, finishing the building, that would have to be coordinated. If the decision is made that it's not gonna happen until after this is done, different story. If there was an attempt to get the sign up in time for this convention, for example, then a lot of quick coordination has to be done to make that happen.
And if it comes after we'll see that cost.
I think
Alright.
that's all part of what still needs to be negotiated.
I'm gonna make sure that we know that we are removed from that, right? And so that it would be to the entities to figure out.
As far as I know at this
Okay.
moment, correct.
Okay.
And Tim asked about the fabrication. We don't have a sense of that. I don't know if anybody,
There was the timeline that's in the information that in the package. And I don't want to say off at the top of my head.
okay, and I don't recall, I apologize. So again, we will have those conversations quickly and we will figure out if it still makes sense to go forward on the timeline. Get it done ahead of time, and to your point.
All right, you guys let us know. All right, questions? I will move to the next item, the bird safety issue. I had George, Julie add that to the agenda, because I want to make sure that our last board meeting in November, we talked about this issue. I think we set aside in our preliminary budget what a proposed number could look like for this sign without any real detail on the bird safety issue. I think we left that meeting saying that we would do some things to kind of figure out what real costs were. Along the process, we know that, we're looking budgetary going forward, that it may impact some of our partners. I want to make sure as we go through this process, trying to figure out what this looks like, what the cost really is, that we have the county and county council have shown interest in here at the table with us. Just take me through what we need to do.
So I think the simplest statement is this, there was a recognition last time that the thought process is, the idea of art and seeing whether or not some of these, because the focus is on the malls. The mall stacks, we talked about the idea of doing something that would, be additive in terms of art. Obviously, we know that, there's an interest, by some at the county about this. And so the thought would be that what we really need to do is to have a meeting. I know there's some work, some investigation that's been done. So have a meeting to talk about who would be involved, who would, if it's an art, if art is involved, is there a foundation? How would that happen? There's also the discussion as to whether or not any of the county resources, maybe not, but the unions have worked through Matt Reimer on doing some other work. Is that a possibility for how this is saved? So I really think the next step is for the county to tell us, to figure out who at the county wants to be part of this discussion. And then we will meet, Debbie, and just quickly have that meeting to just talk about what are the possibilities. And the other issues we talked about before, depending on who does what, that's going to tell you a lot about how much this is going to cost. And then the question is going to be, where do those elements come from?
And I'll just add, we haven't sat on this. I have a Cleveland Foundation fellow who reached out to George back in December and has connected with Mike again. We've done some of this work before, wrapping utility boxes, and so we've got all the information from that work, some of the information that they already started to put together. I don't have a report or anything to get yet. We kind of had a little bit of sidetrack with some other business, but we are starting that investigation, and we've got some of the information and data. And I think that's it. Maybe we get a smaller group together to kind of dig a little bit deeper into figuring out what is the best path
So
forward.
let us, George, we should, being a small committee group, and start the process.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
November inviting, not only our staff, but, county, it have some impact on the county, Trevor and, county council. Sunny Simon showed great interest in it, right? So let us go that route so we can get moving.
And one of the things we want to mention too is that as everybody knows here, we get funding by the county, two areas. They pay us rent, and we're supposed to do a capital improvements budget every year. And we go back to the county and say, this is what we need for capital improvements. We need new carpet, this, that, and the other thing. We have not had to do that in all these years. We've been able to use our rent money for operations and then fund our capital improvements. We were totally funded at one point in time here, that we had all the capital we needed to do our repairs and additions. We no longer are in that position. So we've been able to do it just from our rent money. We've never had to go back to the county for additional funds. We are looking at our budget right now, and we'll know a little better as time goes on as to whether we feel we're going to be short this money that's put aside for this, for the birds project, or we may have to go back to the county and say, we need this funded.
So the good thing is here, George, so as we are forecasting on forward, we get a better idea. I think this group will give us a better idea of what a project like this would cost, if it's actually feasible, right? We got to a point where we said, okay, looks good. 10,000 foot view, now you gotta drill down and see what impacts. Now, the other thing is if it has an ongoing cost and it's outside our budgetary ability, that sends another thing. So that's why we're having a small committee come together.
And just to clarify though, George, just your statement, because you said we're gonna be short because of this project. You gave us two projections, one with or without this, and we were gonna be short next year with the birds or in 2 years without the birds. So I don't think it's a fair statement to say you have to go back to the county because of this project. You're gonna have to go back sooner because of this project.
Maybe
So-
sooner, but also, and we're working through it because the convention centers continue to pick up a lot of business.
Yeah.
And so our deficit will be smaller.
I think we just gotta be careful what we say because.
Right.
Yeah, I would say, let's go through the investigation,
That's right.
figure out what we can, who's going to do what, then we can. talk
I
about
believe
the
we can
budget.
bring the costs down. Again, I think working through
But,
this and looking at some.
And I
So-
think we, you
So
know,
to that point, that's the purpose of pulling the committee together,
Mhm.
so we can get down to real factual
Yes.
numbers here. Right, so I don't want anybody getting ahead of anything, right?
Right.
Get the committee together, get your factual numbers together, then we can talk apples to apples.
And all I'm trying to do is, people like to know ahead of time what the outlook will be. And that, we don't know what it's gonna be yet.
no, understood. I mean, sorry, I know we're trying to move, just because we were very clear at the meeting. What we were approving was not a
Right.
project, because we didn't know what the project
Right,
is.
Right,
What we approved was a line
Budget.
item in the budget to
Mhm.
begin the process to discover what that project is,
Right.
feasibility, and then at that point, decisions can be made with real numbers.
Right. And the other thing I felt was that not enough investigations have been done. Make sure that this is the right way to go. I think that's one of the things. we wanna make
That's what
sure.
we started in
Yeah.
place is
Right.
that the
It
process
was a
will
very,
be.
it was a very preliminary look at
Yes.
the.
We put a line item in the
all we're
budget,
doing-
we did
all
not
we're
approve
doing
any.
is getting
That's
what we approved in November
Mhm.
going forward.
And we have started to, again, dig a little
So-
bit deeper, so we've
So
got some.
I'm gonna ask,
information
uh,
to share.
George to start to pull together the committee, if anybody is interested in sitting on the committee from the board side. Convene a group with us, county, and I would say county, I would say Simon showing the most interest in it, right? Sit down and start. Now, the only thing you can say may, or you may not do it. That's all we can say.
That's all I'm saying right now, yes.
All right?
Mhm.
Any other questions? All right, I'm gonna go to the Hilton Hotel update. Larry?
Thank you very much. Hope you can hear me okay. These are year-end numbers for the lodging industry. So overall for the US, RevPAR was up 4.9% in 2023 over 2022. 2019, 13.6%. That's on a unadjusted inflation basis. Occupancy industry-wide 63% versus prior year 57%, and ADR, average daily rate, is up 4.3%. One thing we're seeing in a lot of markets is supply growth is relatively low, 0.5% supply growth industry-wide. And outlook is expected to the next couple of years, and kind of the interest rates and also cost of construction as well. When you look at different segments, good news is urban hotels had a much better year in 2023 than prior years. Growth in 22 is really about resort destinations. That growth and performance in urban areas is really anchored by also return of business travel as well. Next slide. Look at the Cleveland market overall. RevPAR was up 9.6% on 23 versus 2022. Yeah, Cleveland outperformed from a growth perspective most of their comparable markets as well. Next slide. For the downtown set, RevPAR up about 11% above 2022, about 5% better than 2019. So, downtown hotel. No surprise looking elsewhere, airport traffic out of November was up 13% compared to last year, and at 19 levels. I already touched on all the big citywide events next year, ASAE and well. It's nice to see is over the last 30, 60 days, starting to see some booking activity for the latter part of the year. The latter part of the last quarter. What's starting to go in as well. On the downtown, so the hotels are starting to think about about some renovations. I think there's still a supply that's starting to evolve as well. We'll see. Any questions?
Hey, Larry, we're having difficulty hearing you. I don't know if it's on our end or your end, but, it's becoming a little difficult to hear you. I don't know, I think we should probably.
Yeah.
Right. Larry, so here, send us, we already have the report. Julie, let's take the report, send it out to everybody.
Turn it out to me.
And then, you know, if anybody has any questions, you can tell George about it, but it's difficult to hear, so.
Yeah.
All right. So Larry, thank you for your time, all right? All right, we're gonna go to, I'm gonna ask for a motion to go into executive session. We wanna go to executive session, to consider employment of an official or employee pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G, section 1. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
Moving in second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All in favor, Julie saying aye. I will ask all
Mayor,
that are
Mayor, I
not,
think we might need a roll call.
oh yeah, we do need a roll call, that's right, I can't do the thing, that's right. Thank you, Trevor. Roll call, Julie.
Debbie Barry.
Yes.
Jeff Epstein.
Yeah.
David Gilbert.
Yes.
Majid McClure. Trevor McAleer.
Yes.
Michael Obi.
Yes.
Tim Oftermatt.
Yes.
Rashonda Smith. Mayor Sellers.
Yes. I ask all that are not involved in the board to, just step outside briefly. Okay. Appreciate you guys.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.
Look nice down there the other day.
Thank you.
Yeah, look real nice.
Next year is the 25th, you're,
Is that the
yeah.
25th?
Send it to me
Next year,
today
so already
or
planning
Monday,
25th.
so the person staff can get it.
Yeah,
loaded. It's just a IT problem,
Yeah,
not
I'll,
Okay.
we're still.
tweaking it.
Long
All right.
like,
Thank you for coming, by the way.
yeah, listen, exactly, thank you.
Yeah.
That was good, thank you. That was good. Cause that's gotta get started.
I sent you a message, but disregard it because
Okay.
it's not an official committee. I
Okay.
thought we were gonna, so
Okay.
disregard.
That's what I was trying to figure out, is it or isn't it?
Yeah, disregard my suggestion because if it was a official committee, I wanted
Yeah.
a fifth one and I threw your name out there, but since we're just,
Cause I want their group to get, to start.
And that's why I was having the issue with her question about who's on it, because if it was official.
okay.
That's why I said now, like, but we just talking, right? We just talking about what.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted him in it because they always do it now.
Right.
Well, we gotta talk about that one piece. We've been around with that for years.
There's a much bigger picture with the balance project. and what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, Tim, you've raised the issue, the interplay between this and gateway. There's some bigger issues. to figure out.
You talk about taking all the. Soul. These things.
Yeah.
All right. All right, we can reconvene the meeting here. We're gonna go to the next item on the agenda, which is old business. Do we have any old business?
No old business.
All right, Julie, the next item, which is new business,
No new business. Okay.
no new business. Looks like the next quarterly meeting is April 26th, 2024, 8:30 a.m. It'll probably be in the same room.
Actually, no, it'll be in a different room, but I will let you know.
Okay.
Gotta keep you guessing, Mayor.
Yeah, I was. Thank you guys for your patience to, well, we had the executive session. There's nothing else to be discussed here at this building, at this board meeting. I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
The motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
The movement second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, perfect. If you want to take the project tour, I'm assuming that group's gonna convene out the door as they always do. And then if you have a chance, do it. I saw a lot of it today.
Accidentally.
Accidentally. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's again. Absolutely.
See you again.